This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time we use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they will have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop, whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. I don't know that you guys honestly deserve the treat that is sitting across from me because he is the #1 ultimate favorite, the blue-eyed father of the year, now neighbor and community activist of the year, Chris Franjola. I was watching your stories.
I know.
And welcome, star of Cover to Cover.
Thank you so much.
Stand-up sensation. You'll be at Houston's this Sunday. Not
I'll
Houston's.
be at the Punchline.
Like
Remember
the
that
food
place?
store? No, you'll be at where? The
I'll be
Punchline.
at the Punchline in Houston on Sunday and the House of Comedy in Detroit Friday and Saturday. You guys will hear this on Thursday?
Big weekend. Where are you going to be Thursday?
Yeah, well, here with you.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I thought you said you
Yeah.
on a date.
No.
Okay, so this is all this weekend.
Friday and Saturday, House of Comedy in Detroit, and then Houston Punchline Sunday night.
I saw some Juicy Scoopers talking about it, so it's going to be a fun night
spot.
with your blue-eyed, beautiful boy.
Come on out.
Now, tell me I don't know what's next. Move over, Rick Caruso.
My
Are you
street
running?
light.
Are you running for mayor?
Well,
what's
it's funny
going on?
because I'm not quite at mayor yet, but I am now part of a neighborhood council. I'm going to
Really?
be, I'm about to be where you have to vote for me.
Oh my God!
yeah.
Yes,
I'm filling out the paperwork currently.
I am so impressed.
You
know what?
So yeah.
And so it was about a street light that needed to be replaced.
Street light in my neighborhood that had been out for quite some time.
Okay.
And I got on the horn. I am Karen. I'm the Karen.
No, it's called a Ken.
Ken. I'm a Ken. I'm a Ken.
Is it called a Ken or is it called something else? What is the Karen version of?
I think it is a Ken. I've heard Ken.
Okay, fine, Ken.
Anyway.
Yes.
I wanted to get the street light fixed. And I don't know if you ever tried to do anything with any type of government, whatever it's considered. I don't even know what it's considered. It is a nightmare because you get the people, I don't know, who just answer phones.
Yeah.
And I guess it's whatever telephone pole, like the cement poles are one person. The aluminum poles are another person, and the wood poles are another person. So you have to find which one does the wood poles. I'll say this.
Did Elon Musk figure it out?
I don't know why. But yeah, I got it. DWP, they were people of their word. I called them. I thought it was going to be years in the making. I was fully Kenned up, ready to argue, and they were out like 2 days later.
Does this get your wife kind of hot?
I've never seen my entire family more proud of anything that we were taking pictures underneath the light. My daughter, myself, we were dancing. The neighborhood must be like, what are these losers doing underneath the street light?
I think it's things like that keep women continuing to marry men.
Oh, yeah?
It's just getting some shit done around the house.
Right.
I mean, so many times I've heard women go, the only thing I miss about my ex-husband is that he could fix some shit.
I would
get
think that
some
would be
stuff.
the one thing.
I mean, you do have a lot of dad qualities, which is, why it's nice to go on the road with you.
Thank you.
There's just certain things, that some guys are inherently born with.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's worth it to go full blown trad wife and just get married.
It's sad now that I'm becoming more and more just old dad. It's really bad. Like I'm involved in the school now and I'm fighting for better lunches. I never thought I'd be this guy, but
honestly, I'm glad all that time is over for me.
Yeah, I know you're doing
I'm like, it was just, oh God, I tried so hard.
But now, here's what I wanted to discuss with you. Now, you and Peter could be in the Gene Hackman portion of your life.
Okay, well, for those that don't know, Gene Hackman was a very famous actor, and he was married to his wife for 30 years. However, she was 30 years younger than he. They have been together.
He was 95, she was 65.
Yeah, they've been together a very, very, very long time, though. And when the news broke last week, it was confusing. First, they thought it was carbon monoxide because they found them both deceased along with one dog deceased.
Right.
It was not. So what have they now found?
They now believe that she had died first from, which is strange, whatever you get from rat poisoning. It's like a hepavirus or something like that.
So she accidentally ate rat poisoning or she tried to end her life?
No. Not rat poison, rat like feces.
She accidentally ate rat feces?
No, I don't know if you have to eat it. It's airborne. So they believe, what I had heard was they believe that not that there were rats in the home because they had it's a gigantic house they had, I think, in New Mexico.
Yeah, but you could have rats in any home.
Sure, right. Anyway, but they had a barn, and I guess she tended to the barn, and they believed that there might have been some rat feces in the barn. She somehow inhaled the rat feces and got this disease that you get from rat feces or rat, bites or
it
rat.
Sounds like they were
something.
just really quite isolated.
Anyway, he was apparently suffering from Alzheimer's pretty bad.
95 years old.
Yeah. And so she was dead for quite some time. He didn't even know. What they're saying was he didn't even know.
Probably,
he didn't know she was dead.
And he probably didn't know how to call.
Didn't know how to get out of the house. Didn't call anybody. So apparently he was walking around the house for a week, if not more. Then the door was open. He was in the mud room, almost out the door. So he fell, and then I kind of just died on the floor.
Did they ever find out why one dog died and the others didn't?
It was in a cage.
Oh, so it couldn't get food or water. And the other ones could run around and get some food.
The other ones were running around. So,
what a depressing story to start out Juicy Scoop.
I know, but I'm concerned that you guys are now in that portion where it could be, because
luckily,
you start getting into larger homes, somebody gets rat poisoning. Next thing you know, Peter's just wandering around the house for a week.
Luckily, I have this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think I've had to cancel it once.
Right.
And I made an announcement so that people would not do a welfare check.
Yeah.
Or arrest Peter.
Okay.
But if this does not show up and there is no Instagram saying I'm sick, my flight got delayed, the show's going to be a day late, 100%.
Right.
Call everybody, call Chris, have people come to my house.
Yeah.
And find me. Because that is not, I'm too much of a thirst bucket I will never take a social media break.
You're not going to be dead on the floor. You're not going to mummify.
Never.
Because that's what happened to both Gene Hackman and his wife. They were found mummified. So that's that's a considerable amount of time you're dead when you start mummifying.
No, absolutely not. And we do a lot of Uber Eats and stuff. So I feel like that would be a sign.
For that reason.
Yeah.
The Uber Eats guy would find you. That'd be, I don't know what's worse, getting found dead by the Uber Eats guy or just mummifying.
Speaking of Uber Eats, so we went to SC yesterday, USC, because I spoke at my sorority. Finally, I'm getting the respect I deserve.
It just takes time,
Finally, they realize I'm kind of a big deal.
I am too. I just want to and not to.
No, jump on. Let's hear about your big deal. Please do tell.
There's a page on Instagram called Long Island Connection or something, and each week they do famous people from Long Island, and I've never been mentioned, and I finally was mentioned.
After all the years on Chelsea Lately and everything.
Nothing. And then, of course, the comments underneath who are these people? Never heard of them. So, the fun lasts for about a second until you read the comments, but I was excited about it.
Well, Drake was with me because he's on his spring break and he helps me out with this business, but made it so nice because we had a lot to do yesterday. But so I said, well, let's go down there earlier and just look at the school.
Okay.
Because it's been a minute. And so anyway, there used to be this thing called University Village that was just crap. And you could not go there when I was there by yourself.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think I learned to be very self-aware of my surroundings.
Because for those people who don't know, not from here, USC is can be in a bad area depending upon which direction you go.
But it was way worse 30 years ago.
Right.
And now they've kept expanding it. I mean, we used to see a lot of scary people walking around.
Right.
One time I was walking by the Newman Center to go to school, which is the Catholic church, and these little kids on a bike just grabbed my boob.
Whoa.
Little kids.
Like how little?
Like 10.
Jesus,
yeah,
really?
It was like, and then you, also they were the first people that kind of did Uber before Uber. It was called, you could just pick up the phone at any time. They were the first university, I think, to do this, called SC Escort. So like, if you were at, the library, you would just call that and they'd pick you up and take you. So like,
not the little kids on the bike.
No, like real like mini cops or whatever. And so it was great. Also, if you were at some guy's house and he was trying to like get with you and you didn't want to spend the night, you could always call the escort. It was always free. They would always come get you. And so it was really great. I liked that part of it, but it also taught me to do the same thing when I'd be like doing stand-up on Melrose and I'd see these other girls just walking to the car by themselves. I'm like, what are you doing? I'd always ask somebody to escort me. And then those guys would sometimes try to make out with me too. But at least I knew
you mean
them.
The driver would try to make out?
No, it's like a comedian. Which, like, I'd say, can you walk me to my car? It's near, it's near whatever the store is.
Yeah,
and
Fred Siegel.
Fred Siegel, it's by Fred Siegel down the street, because I don't want to pay for parking. And then, we'd start talking and the guy would give me like a tag for a joke. And I'd be like, God, I just... like, whatever. So, anyway, the school, they added this whole university village thing now.
Right.
Incredible restaurants, fountains going.
Really?
Cuteness galore. I was like, wow, this is so nice. So then I went to the bookstore and I got my USC alumni frame because when I returned in my old car, I left it on there. And then when I called the dealership, they're like, what? I'm like, can I have my frame back? They're like, oh, shut up. So I got another one and I did a little video.
Oh, like the thing that goes around your license plate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a little one, which was the whole reason I wanted to go to SC in the first place. My dad's like, why do you want to go there? I go, because I'm going to live in LA and for the rest of my life, every time I see a USC license plate frame, I'll get depressed.
Yeah.
And then he thought about how many you see and he was like, all right, fine. So I'm walking down and Drake filmed it and I have my USC baseball cap on. And some of the comments are like, I knew she was MAGA. I'm like,
for a split second.
It's just red. Like, it is just an SC
It's just red hat.
Oh,
there's a lot of red hats.
Just like, shut up.
I know.
Anyway, it was fun. The girls were delights. Very impressed with how smart these girls were.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
So now, you went into the sorority house?
Yes.
So these girls are in the school at 17?
They're like, they're like 18 to 22 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's that like? What's it like to see? Do they care? Do they even... I didn't even know what an 18-year-old girl looks like these days. Well, Alabama Barker?
Not like that at all.
No.
These girls, this was academic night.
Yeah.
So many of them brought their professors.
Oh.
And all stood up and said, this is my mentor, this is my professor, this is da-da-da-da. And Drake was there filming it. And we got in the car and he's like, wow. I'm like, those girls are really smart. He's like, yeah. I'm like, he goes, I don't think I've ever met any of my teachers. I go, well, I certainly didn't invite any to my dinners,
Right.
So they were very smart and cool and well-spoken. And then I did my little shebang about life.
Yeah.
And
did people seem interested or they're like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
But I was also smart, that she said, I was going to have you talk after I give out the awards and all the girls introduce their professors.
Right.
And I said, no, I'd like to go before.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then some of these smarty pants are going to cut out early to go to the library and not care about my stupid story.
Yeah.
So I did it and it was great. And we filmed it. I'll put it on patreon.com/juicyscoop. Whatever. Go to my Patreon. I'm going to put it there because I don't know how many people would really be interested otherwise.
Right.
But really full circle. Then I found my old rooms.
Oh my God. The kid who grabbed your boob wasn't there, was he? Imagine he showed up. Still remember them.
No, but they don't let boys upstairs. So we had to ask the house mother if Drake could go up to film me.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she said yes. And so I found my old rooms and I was writing my old sorority sisters. And I was like, wait, who lived on the third floor? Like I was trying to remember who all lived with me.
Wow, that's crazy.
And yeah. So yeah, I had very low expectations because oftentimes I've spoken at high schools and things. And the kids have been like,
right.
Like, and I'm like, God bless you, teachers, like whatever. But no, these girls were, they were a captive audience.
That's good.
And the food was excellent.
Really?
Oh my God, it was the best food I've ever had.
So the whole USC is saying...
It was like a chef came out and had like salmon and
what is this? Is this the place the kids eat every day?
If you want to eat at your sorority house, it's served for you. Like chefs come and serve you. That's the way it was for when I was there too, but this was better. This was healthier and better. My
wife went to USC as well.
I know, that's why I like her.
Yeah, and she tells me...
she was Alpha Phi.
Was she? I have no idea.
See?
I didn't go to college.
I know, but at least I remember.
I was an electrician in New York City. You people out there eating steak, Alpha Phi. I was working hard, people. All right. So, that was great. Well, good for you.
So that was fun.
I'm glad it's starting to happen for you.
It's finally starting happening. Okay, now this is who we want it to happen for again. This is Wendy Williams. This is a quick clip of her having a police escort onto a ambulance. So what happened was she talked to, I guess this is Charlemagne the God.
Yeah, Charlemagne the God.
This morning. So she's supposed to do The View this Friday.
Oh, really?
Yes. And she's at this assisted living facility and it's kind of smart because they have like someone watching her all the time.
I keep seeing her in a window.
So she's in the window and she's waving. And what she did was she had called the ambulance herself, I guess, or had her person call. Had the police come take her out. Otherwise, they might not let her leave.
Yeah.
Which is weird. So that she could go and get all these evaluations done herself. And she's passing them.
Really?
Like cognitively, she's okay. She was able to walk out. She has her Graves' disease and her like foot issue, but she was able to walk out like just holding like a police officer's arm, got in the ambulance, got all that checked out.
So who was the person who said that she had other issues that needed to be in this facility?
I'm so confused what happened in the last 2.5 years with her.
Yeah.
Because we saw her on the documentary and she clearly was not with it and seemed to be abusing alcohol. I don't know if more people then jumped on in that vulnerable moment.
Right.
And then inserted themselves. She did admit that her son, who's like early 20s, mismanaged some of her money.
Right.
But of course, she loves him and forgives him and she had dinner with him. But then there were these other people that were like appointed.
Yeah.
And then like Bank of America or Wells Fargo like said, oh, you can't have access to your money. All this weird shit.
And she had a lot of money, right? She's
she's had a show for 15 years.
And it was a hit.
Oh my God, it was a runaway. It would have never gone off the air. That's why when I was on it a lot, they had guest hosts for like a year because they were trying to keep it running for her to come back. And she wants to come back. I don't know how Sherry Shepherd's show is doing. It's the same production company.
Oh.
And Sherry is a delight, but I definitely don't feel like the clips and the talk, and I don't know how well it's doing.
Afternoon TV it's amazing to me that half of them, I didn't even realize there was Jennifer Hudson has one, and they're all getting picked up for 2 more years, 3 more years.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because if she's capable of coming back, if she wants to come back, or if she comes back at a more like limited basis or whatever. But it's really nice to see that she just, I'm excited to see how she does.
Yeah.
On Friday, but hopefully, because when people first saw this, they're like, what are they doing now? She can't do The View. But it was like, this was to, I think, ensure that she could do The View.
Right.
Like, let me get out a few days before. Let me not get fucked on
so
Friday morning. So
she's going to sit at the desk of The View. She's not going to be doing it from a remote location or something.
No, that's what they say. So now she'll have a couple days to like get an outfit together, get cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how old is she?
She's like probably late 50s.
Oh, that's it? Oh, I thought she was 70s.
Really?
Really? Late 50s? I have
Maybe
no idea.
Maybe she's 60, but she's definitely not.
Oh,
No,
really?
she's only like,
Okay.
Maybe she's like 60. But anyway, maybe she's like 62. Have you been watching The Baldwins?
I have. Well, I watched the first episode and half of the second.
And give me your overall thoughts.
You know, it's funny because I went in like wanting to hate it, but I mean, I think it's fine enough reality TV. I think everybody goes in it because of what, the shooting. So they already hate Alec Baldwin for a plethora of reasons, and her.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I think people are giving it a harsher critique than they probably should. I mean, it's dumb reality television that I found kind of, light and okay. I wanted to hate it. I went in looking to hate it too, but I was like, I didn't hate it. I was bored by it, of course, but I'm bored by
the fact it's their reality. It's a ton of kids.
Yeah.
And I saw a clip of they're at their beautiful Hamptons house.
Right.
And he's cleaning out the skimmer or whatever. And he's like, other people are on Jeff Bezos' yacht, but here I am cleaning out the skimmer. And I'm like, okay, so like we're supposed to be like, you're such a down-home dad, whatever.
Right.
I think what happened was he agreed to do this. One, they need the money. That's why he was doing these lower budget shows that got him in a position for a horrible accident to happen.
Totally. Yeah.
Because he has these 7 kids.
Right.
In his 60s. But he also, I think, agreed to do this because when they started filming, they did not know the fate of his situation.
Yeah.
And I think he thought, if by any chance I have to go away at all, then she's got a show.
Right.
And she can make money and I can stay relevant because they're going to be talking about me and I can gain sympathy because I'm doing whatever time.
Right.
So, of course, he's not doing any time. The family I saw are Helena, the victim's family, like her parents or something. Allegedly, I saw in some articles so that they are still trying to sue the Baldwins.
Yeah.
And which, they can do whatever they want. But like, I respect that they're covering all that. Like they're covering it. She did cover that she was like, I like Spanish stuff and I like English stuff and I speak both and whatever.
Right.
But it does seem like, and she's still doing some of the Spanish words and stuff and going in and out of it. And it seems like she kind of is evil and hates him because he's like, I'm allergic to cats. Yeah. And and then she's like, the 4 cats are in the car with him to the Hamptons.
Yeah. I felt some of it was a little produced,
yes,
we need something here.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to cats. Oh, here we go. That's an angle.
And that it's a lot of like, that's marriage. Like he's like, I only like her when she's sleeping. And
yeah.
And it's but then in another one, they're like, without her, I couldn't do it. Look, they just need to do the show because they need the money.
Can we get an episode where we put some eye cream on Alec Baldwin's face? Because
they did. The little girl did a facial on him.
He needs more than that. He needs a professional in there because those bags under his eyes, I've never seen anything. I know he's going through a time right now.
I have a prediction.
They're going to take him off with a...
No, next season he'll get some plastic surgery.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
and they'll make lots of jokes about him being old and blah, blah. And that's the other thing, her making jokes about him being old and not cute. I'm like,
right.
Oh, stop being such an ageist. Like you married this old fart after 3 months.
Keep bringing up old pictures of him from...
Constantly. Like of how hot he was. And I'm like...
And then you forget how good looking he was at one time. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody gets old.
Right. And it's like, she's got the confidence of always being 23 years younger than him with like a perfect body. I feel like, okay, now.
So how far did you get before you were like, all right, I'm out? Like, where do you go with reality TV?
The screaming kids is boring to me. Yeah. It's like annoying.
Right.
So I mostly, to be honest, have just seen like little clips. If a clip pops up, I watch it so that I can discuss it here.
Yeah.
But to give my time, no. I don't care to see the Hamptons and what the swimming. And I think they seem like a loving family that, needs the money and allowed the cameras in. But I mean, I just don't care that much.
I felt like once they got out to the Hamptons, I was just like, why would they ever leave that? Like, why go back to New York? Like, put the kids in schools in the Hamptons and stay
let them
out there.
Spread out.
Yeah. Like, they got out there, it was like a big yard. And I'm like, what are you doing? Just stay out there. Why go back to New York City with that cramped house? And I guess they keep saying, he's got OCD. He's got OCD. He closes the cabinets and lines it, that was a big one. Like, I feel like these are all like fake produced, like reality
we're
TV
so
show.
different. I like them. And then you see like the pizza like fell and then he had to eat it off the ground.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just very much, it just reminds me of like the early days of the Kardashians.
Right.
Back when like reality shows were like sitcom light.
Right.
Like they were really produced, but we didn't know it.
Yeah.
And, they were always like, the girls are doing a Girls Gone Wild photo shoot. Don't tell Bruce. Mm-hmm. And then Bruce shows up at Joe Francis's house like, what are you girls doing?
Come on.
Get angry, Bruce. Yeah.
What I remember the one where they got a chicken or something. Don't tell Bruce we have a pet chicken. And then he was chasing around. Where's that chicken?
So it's that same kind of thing. Like, the dad is the butt of the joke.
Right.
And whatever. As we move into March, you guys, it's time to shake off the winter. We are into the sun. Let's restore. Let's get this going. And for some of us, it's time to tackle thinning hair and hair loss with Eye Restore Elite. It's a clinically proven solution designed to help you to regrow hair with 282 lasers and LEDs delivering light therapy directly to your scalp. Think of it as a rejuvenating treatment for your hair. Lightweight, hands-free, and painless. It works while you relax and prepare for the warmer days ahead. No hassle, just real results. I have the Eye Restore helmet, which is so comfortable. I just plop it on my head, watch the latest Housewives, and know that my hair is getting restored to the glorious state it has always and deserves to be in. Give yourself the gift of hair confidence this spring. For a limited time only, our Juicy Scoopers get $625 off their Eye Restore Elite when you use code JuicyScoop. At irestorelaser.com, that's $625 off your Eye Restore Elite at irestorelaser.com with promo code JuicyScoop. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Hair loss is frustrating. You don't have to fight it alone thanks to Eye Restore. This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time we use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they will have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. As you know, I love traveling with my kids sometimes, and these guys know how to eat. So I love when there is a breakfast included. We also like to have a walkable area to find the cutest coffee shop or dining. Everybody's looking for something different. Or when it's just Peter and I, it's a more of a romantic getaway, chill. We might not want to leave the hotel at all. They have all of that. No matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. So, Meghan Markle's show, I've talked a little bit about it. It was a big talk, second season. Now they're saying Daily Mail today is saying how Meghan Markle's surprising TV ratings give away her secret advantage as highly criticized Netflix show bags second season. Well, now I read the article and yes, it only has a quarter of the ratings of their doc, which was the biggest thing that Netflix had seen in a couple years. So we still don't know. Still, a quarter of that would still be a successful show. Yeah, of course it's doing great. Yeah. And now being that you and Meghan work together.
We're dear friends.
I am really waiting for her to roll the silverware and tie it in burlap string and put that out on the show.
Can I say this?
And will you be invited to that episode?
I was the one who broke the calligraphy that she had very nice handwriting because she used to write the specials at the restaurant and made me a nice birthday card when in her calligraphy or whatever. Some people saying
she does have beautiful writing.
Yes, she does. That was her thing.
I said that to a friend of mine. She goes, "It's not that great." I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean, you're trying to hate her.
You're trying to somebody who does not do one cute thing, which is me.
Yeah,
like I don't.
You wouldn't take peanut butter pretzels and put them in another bag. And
no, but I had a friend bring me a housewarming gift, and I was like, "This is you could do a Meghan Markle show."
Yeah,
like
some people just like
it was
that.
like she had the crinkly, so it's like higher up in a basket. champagne, plastic champagne glasses for the pool.
Yeah.
Another thing underneath, all wrapped up in a bow.
I think that's it. That's like a gene
It's
that
like a
people have
gene.
and people don't. You know what I mean? My mother has a neighbor that she is furious at because she knows how to decorate. She knows how to entertain. She knows how to entertain.
And you know what? My mom was a good cook, but she wasn't cutesy like that.
Yeah.
She wasn't like an amazing gift wrapper. She wasn't. And there's just certain people like that. And I think
and they get jealous of people who are. They're like, God, damn it.
I don't. I feel like that's why I think it's kind of fun to make fun of her because it's like, I think there's a lot of push of inauthenticity and trying to get out that she's not a bad person, whatever. But I also feel like, hey, I think she's always been into this shit.
Right.
And it's true. She had
she used to have
And I do think if you have to do a show, this is a lot easier, less time consuming to go to the house that's pre-lit down the street.
Right.
And then be home by 4:00 and knock out 12 episodes in 2 seasons in probably 2 weeks.
How many episodes are in the season
on
one?
Suits.
I watched 2 episodes. I
think there's like 6 or 8.
Okay.
And then there's another season, and I heard they already filmed them. So it's already done.
Yeah.
And like that is efficient use of your time. It's not like I said, working on a Grey's Anatomy or Suits where you're in your trailer waiting. Your makeup's getting crusty, and then you have to like memorize a bunch of things. So it's like, yeah, I think she's a decent actress, but she knows that's harder work than just having people show up and act like and pretend that they're her friends.
Have you watched?
Yes, I have watched 2 full episodes.
Yeah, me too. Now, let me just say this. I don't know. I'm not going to, I'm sure you said they're already filmed. You got to have more Mindy Kaling's, more comedians, because it was a whole different show when Mindy Kaling was there. I thought it was a better show. I thought Mindy Kaling was funny. I thought it made Meghan seem better. And the first
Even when she snapped at her about the Sussex?
Oh, I know. That was,
It's so funny that you call me Meghan Markle when I'm not.
I'm a Sussex now.
Yeah, I'm a Sussex.
Yeah. And then of course, Mindy Kaling's like, oh, now I know. And she's like, I drove all the way up
Okay, so
here.
we're going to do a pitch. Obviously, you've got to have Chris Franjola because there's real history there.
Well,
secondly, you got to have me because we can talk about all-girl high schools.
Yeah.
Which is a unique club.
Right.
That if you're part of it, for the rest of your life. You didn't have to go to the same school. It's a club.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things that I initially bonded with her. And so, yes, I can see what the criticism is, but I can also see that. Also, what I said yesterday was I think a lot of women are awful to each other, okay?
Yeah.
We are awful, and Gen X is more awful to each other, in my opinion, than millennials or Gen Zs as women.
Okay. Yeah.
We get jealous, we get bitter, we see other people doing something that we could probably do well.
Right.
And instead of lifting those people up, we're like, they're not that great at it.
Yeah.
This is not this original. This is Pinterest from 10 years ago, whatever. And it's like, well, whatever. She got the TV deal and they agreed to do it. And she was smart. Like I said, doing this show is a lot easier lifting for her than it would be to go back and be an actual actress in a show.
I found it to be nice, easy breezy. I like the look of they made the outside look nice, make where they live, Montecito, looks nice. I thought the beekeeper guy looked exactly like a beekeeper guy. Yeah. Like that's the guy you would want to be
Brandon
the beekeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris,
it's a lot
Chris
of,
and I, we could carpool together.
Be up there in
to
2
Montecito.
hours. Yeah.
And you could do a dual one with us and it could be fun. And I can admit I am not crafty. I don't have pretty handwriting.
Yeah.
Chris can talk about what a delight you were to work with, which is what you want. You want people from your past to say you were a delight, and you always said she was.
Wouldn't that when she mentioned on the Oprah interview, she said something about I worked at Humphrey Yogurt, and that's all anyone talked about after that interview was over.
The confusion part about that.
Okay.
And I remember some people corrected or whatever, but the initial thought of people saying liar was, being that I'm just a few years older than her, the law was you had to be 16 to work in California.
Right.
I worked at Haagen-Dazs. After I was 16.
Yeah.
I think I told you my little wrist couldn't get the Swiss almond fudge ice cream. It's so hard. And people always wanted that specially hand packed.
And then you got to get in there.
For those rich Tarzana people.
Yeah.
And then they'd come in, they go, $1.25 a scoop. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit. You know,
They
they
should
come
go
from
now.
Tarzana movie theater. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm scooping. And so she says in the show, I was 13 and this was my first job. So I would really like to hear from somebody. How does a 13-year-old in the mid-90s work at
Right.
a shop that your parents don't own
Yeah.
in California? And
Well,
I just don't understand how she was able to do that.
I think sometimes independently owned places maybe skirt the laws a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
crazy, though. 13 working at a real
Yeah.
place.
That's true.
That is like up there with like the Industrial
Yeah.
Revolution when
Right.
children were like in factories. Like that's why that happened.
Yeah, so it is, but anyway, I'm saying if
Yes.
to have somebody there from her like waitressing
Yes.
days would make her seem more down to earth.
And here the biggest thing about it is from what I've seen, and I don't know, because she hasn't invited me to Montecito, is she kind of a dull bird? Like I feel she's kind of boring.
100%. I mean, that's the whole
So
takeaway.
you never had a juicy conversation or like a good chuckle.
No, I mean,
But
outside
she was pleasant.
of yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like not everybody is a good storyteller. Not everybody is funny.
no, that's why I said
Not
when
everyone
Mindy,
can be a podcaster.
yeah, when Mindy Kaling came, Mindy Kaling was kind of funny.
She's trying to help
Yeah, it was trying to help, and there was a couple of back and forth that were better than like the makeup guy who would just like kept going. I've never seen a strawberry that look like that, you know.
Yeah.
But poor guy was like, I don't know what to do. He's like,
He's just like,
I just want to go. And then she kept saying, like, I'll also say this to
Yeah.
Megan. I don't have to stay over the house. You don't have to make me a whole thing for my tub, my bath.
I know I told you this
You don't
before.
have to make me Epsom salt.
I know I've told the Juicy Scoopers this, but I remember I stayed at I went to Bill Maher's stand-up concert in Santa Barbara with my friend Tanya Thicke, widow to Alan Thicke. And Alan and he were really good friends. And so she's like, do you want to go? And then we'll go backstage. And I was all excited to meet him, thinking
Yeah.
he'd remember that he dated my friend
Right.
and then invite me to go on the show. Not good. He was like, she told me later that he was very annoyed that she brought me backstage.
Oh, no.
And why did you
Yeah.
bring that girl? Like bringing, like I was a thirsty stand-up or something. I'm like,
Right.
I just was saying we hung out like years
Yeah.
ago. He didn't remember me, whatever. But anyway, she, he was very sweet to her. And she's like, oh, she lives in like Montecito. And she goes, you got to see what I did to the house. I wish you would have let me know earlier that you were coming and performing in Santa Barbara. You got to stay at my house next time. He goes, Tanya, I love you. I'm never staying at someone's house. I'm a 65-year-old
Yeah.
man. And I'm a multi-millionaire.
Right.
I'm not staying at your house. Like, it was just such an honest thing of like, if you're not my sister,
Yes.
like maybe I'm probably at my level would rather be at a beautiful hotel or have my driver drive me back to LA that night.
I couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah.
Like watching that episode, it was giving me like anxiety just watching. Like when she's like, and here's Epsom salts for your bath. I'm like, who's taking a bath at somebody's house?
Do you know what Peter said? He was furious. He's like, do you know how much water it takes to fill a bathtub? and he goes, don't you think people are bringing that up? I go, no, Peter.
No,
one's
I didn't
bringing
even
up
think about that.
The other thing Peter brings up is balloons.
Oh, really? He doesn't like them?
Horrible for the environment.
Yeah, I've
Why
heard
are
that.
people so big
Yeah.
on balloons? Don't they know how bad it is for the environment? And I go, no, humbug, they don't. And
Yeah.
I know people that take a bath every night.
Oh,
And he feels, he does not like
Wow.
people who take baths. And he was like, I would not want someone to. I go, well, lucky for you.
you shouldn't
like,
come over to our house. My daughter likes it real high. Get it real high, the bath. It goes right to the top.
She's swimming in it.
We're wasting water left and right over there.
Well, yeah. So, making your own Epstein, whatever.
I also want to see like the episode because you shouldn't keep having people stay at her house. Like, let's see the episode where somebody flushed the wrong toilet. There's always that one. Did you flush the toilet downstairs? Yeah. Why was that? Because that.
Hold on, let me get H with the toilet plunger. H, can you get a toilet plunger? Chris, who I used to work with at Mirabelle,
Right.
took a big dump.
And he flushed the wrong toilet, and now the house.
This is an old Montecito estate.
Exactly. Every house
We
has its
don't want
quirks.
anything new. We want old and charming.
You should have mentioned that before.
What if that is why they truly left England?
Because
the toilets could not take her giant dumps. And she was like, I don't need there to be another book written about Princess Meghan's dumps.
You could say many things about Meghan Markle. I don't think she has big dumps. I think she's a little,
As my dad would say, the bitch thinks she shits ice cream. That's what he used to say about anybody that he thought was stuck up.
Yeah.
And I just, whenever he'd say it as a little girl, I would just imagine just like Humphrey's yogurt.
Yeah, right.
I would just imagine like a girl like shitting ice cream coming down her ass. And I was like,
lovely.
What do you mean? And my mom's like, it just means that she's like a stuck up bitch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh.
Well, if Meghan Markle shit ice cream, she'd immediately have a label on it that she wrote, handwritten label. My
wrapped
shit.
In cellophane with a ribbon.
Oh, man. Anyway,
God lover, we are available. We are available for a duo, and we're going to show what a real delight you are. Okay, speaking of real, so Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet were at the B&P in La Quinta watching all the 2 weeks of incredible tennis. So they have great seats. And there was a video of her friend is below taking a photo of them. Mm-hmm. And she's literally pushing his face, kissing, and he's like watching the game, and then she's rubbing his shirt and everything. And so, of course, that went viral of people saying, is this real? He doesn't want to be affectionate.
Forever. All the award shows, it looks fake.
Oh, you think? Okay.
Oh, I've been saying it's for since this award season began and he was at all the award shows. It's always looked just off. I'm not saying fake necessarily, but something about it is off. They never seem, they touch cheeks and whatever. It doesn't seem like the way two people who are going out act. And they've been going out, if you believe they're going out, they were going out for a long time now.
Well, I just don't know why you would continue this for so long if it wasn't real.
I agree with you on that.
There's no point.
Like, there's no reason. He's already a big star. He's
a big star. You could be gay if you want. It doesn't really matter. I think it's real. Yeah. But I think what she was doing was, I want content to post of us at this thing. And he literally was watching the match.
Right.
And just like she acted overly interested at all the awards things, she's not. And she's not that interested in the tennis.
Yeah. And how many more times you can hear this guy talk about Bob Dylan? She's like, I don't even know who this is. She's like, what are you talking about? And then when he first wrote
Did you see that movie?
I did. I loved it.
You loved it. I have not seen it.
It's great.
I have to see that and Honora, but Honora right now you still have to pay for.
Loved it
and
too.
Between that and filling the bathtub, I keep saying, can I please see this movie? It's about a sugar baby. It's my favorite subject for movies.
I would love to hear when you watch it.
Okay.
You immediately
Let me know when it's
me
free,
a review.
everybody.
Text me a review because I want to know, because it's a hardcore movie. Like,
do you
there's
know
a lot.
that I saw an article? I saw an article that they spent $18 million.
Yeah.
To get it nominated. The nominating committee, and it only cost $6 million to make.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting that you have that kind of budget just to get it to be an Oscar winner. But then I'm like, and people are like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, actually it does.
Yeah.
Because without it, nobody sees it. And with that extra $18 million, it might live on and actually be quite profitable.
They used to get a big bump from winning the Best Picture, but when it was in theaters, it would be re-released. But these days, I just read that Honora hasn't seen a big bump since it won Best Picture. So, I mean, I think it's doing fine. It did fine. Better, made its money back and then some. But I liked it. It's not for everybody. It's like hardcore.
Not as fun as Pretty Woman.
No, it's no fun. I mean, it's fun. It's just funny parts. It's a funny movie, but it's darkish and a lot of sex.
Wow.
But the interesting thing about it, I don't know if anybody watched it, but that girl got a lot of heat from it. The guy who played like the Russian bodyguard got a lot of heat from it. But then there's the guy who's like the star of it, who's like the boyfriend in it, who you didn't hear one thing about.
But didn't one of the guys got nominated,
right?
Yeah,
he did. He's like he comes later in the movie. The guy who's throughout the whole movie, not even mentioned in any of the awards shows.
So in your opinion, this relationship is not real?
I don't think it is.
You don't think they're fucking?
I don't.
Wow.
I mean, but based on nothing, based on seeing weird gestures like this. And I heard things like when...
I mean, she has a beautiful house in La Quinta.
Right.
So, and Kendall's there. So it's like they could all be hanging out at that house.
Yeah.
And just because we don't see it and he's not on the reality show could also, be that she is just a different animal than Kim. Like, because she was raised in it and because she hit that billionaire status much younger, it's like she doesn't have to do anything she doesn't want to do.
Right.
So
why would they do this? I agree.
Yeah,
I don't know, because I thought it initially when this happened, it was Willy Wonka was coming out. His big, and I was like, oh, he was kind of a big star, but not yet, not like he is now. So I thought maybe we need one thing to pop this guy, and who better than her? So I thought it was them, but then Willy Wonka was a long time ago.
Well, since you're speaking of it, his first movie was Call Me By My Name or Your Name.
Yes.
Which was, he played a young guy in the 80s who fell in love with like a 28-year-old or 30-year-old guy that comes to visit them in their Italy home, and they have sex.
The peach.
Which is, with the peach.
Yeah.
And he has, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was Armie Hammer.
And that was Armie Hammer. And Armie Hammer then goes on to Mario calls and says, I'm getting married. And the parents are like, great. And, so it's this love affair that's totally inappropriate because he's like a 35-year-old man or whatever in it. And he plays a teenager. So it's, but Armie Hammer recently on his podcast, did you see that clip?
I did.
So he's, says, oh, I thought, all my friends who are gay have such a great life. We'll be at dinner and their grinder will go off and they'll go meet a guy in the bathroom and they'll get a BJ and then they'll come back and have dessert or whatever. So he's like, so I thought I'll try to be gay. And there's a really good looking French guy and we start kissing. And then I'm like, oh, this beard and these shoulders. And then he goes to grab my flaccid dick. And I was like, okay, this isn't for me. And so there was a lot of reaction to that. One was praise. Like, a lot of guys and women experiment with same sex. It's great that he was honest.
Right.
My initial thought is, I think he's a sex addict.
Yeah.
So I think sex addicts try everything.
Right.
And so I believe the story and I appreciate his honesty. Other people think he's so desperate to get people to listen to this podcast that he's filming out of this sad apartment in Venice that they're like, what juicy story do you have? Fucking say it so we have a clip.
Yeah. I got news for Armie Hammer. I know he's jealous of the grinder, but Armie Hammer, I feel like if he wants to get a blowjob, he could get a blowjob pretty quickly too. By anybody, I think.
He said women are the worst, is what he said. And so people didn't like that. That's a throwaway line. But that's what people don't say. Well, yeah, they're the worst, but they were so bad when you had them coming over your house and you put them on a leash and they had to crawl around and eat kibble and then you scratched an A in their butthole or whatever. And that was all fine. That was all fine when you're cheating on your wife with 4 people and planning a barbecue with different women's ribs. Like that, then they weren't so awful. But now, they're the worst. Guys are cut and dry about sex and move the fuck along.
Right. It is funny that now he's kind of out there again. Yeah. And almost to the point where I've seen him on a couple of podcasts where he's almost kind of laughing about the whole incident. And I mean, I guess in the end, he really he didn't actually cut people's ribs out.
No, he didn't cut anyone's ribs out. He did mark his A on people's body.
He did? Like several people?
Yes.
Yeah?
That I believe is 100% true. He did come from a weird ass family.
Sure.
However, when it was one of those stories that went hog wild because we were in the midst of COVID. Yeah. Just like Tiger King, there were certain things that just was like, and I covered it a lot. I had the aunt on my show that wrote a book about his weird dad, her brother, and things like that. And then they finally put out the doc. And it just kind of was a dud. And the girls were not sympathetic characters because they all knew he was married. They all willingly went over there. And were they somewhat trauma? And then the girl that really claimed trauma then backed off.
Right.
So there wasn't really anything.
Yeah.
So, I had predicted that he would come back and act in something soon.
Has he?
I don't know. I feel going this podcast route, You got to stay a little mysterious. I think everybody having a podcast is keeping us
from
wanting them.
But is it his podcast or is he just a guest on somebody's podcast?
No, it's his own podcast.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so like I kind of feel like, look, I guess he's got to do it to make money. But at the same time, I almost feel like if he went away and then had made like more of a cool comeback in a really good project that he's... But prior to his scandal, people were like, stop trying to make Armie Hammer happen. He's not that great of an actor. He had a couple of
bombs and
He's just good looking and tall.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's all you need to do.
All right. I like them.
Speaking of which, okay, lots of chatter, but also it's kind of a slow week in pop culture. Is Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck trying to get her back? Her boyfriend of a long time, this guy, something Miller, he's like an environmentalist or an attorney or something. There was some connection with his ex-wife that he was seeing with her. There was a time where they were talking at one of the Ben and Jennifer Garner, and he kind of grabbed her waist. What's going on? Is he insider saying he wants to get back together with her? She's like, I don't know. It's so upsetting to J-Lo. Then J-Lo's like, I don't care.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts about them as a couple?
I feel like at this point, he needs to find some other girl. He's going to meet somebody not Jennifer. Too many, like he can't go back to Jennifer again. This would be like, do you know anybody else that's not a Jennifer?
You're going to Jennifer?
Yeah.
No, J-Lo, Jennifer.
Yeah.
J-Lo, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't do it again. Go with this, find a Susan or something. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, aren't they always kind of hanging around? They have the kids and stuff.
They have the kids. And
didn't she always have to bail him out of rehab or take him to rehab?
She took him once. First of all, he screwed the nanny, which you know how I feel about the lazy cheaters.
He did? He screwed the nanny?
Oh, yeah. He screwed the nanny. And then he had some other young girls that he was dating. And that's when she took him for his final meal at Jack in the Box before dropping him at rehab.
Which, by the way, Meghan Markle likes Jack in the Box, too. She mentioned that on the show.
It's so funny that you say Markle. It's Sussex,
Oh, that's right,
Chris.
Sussex. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, my mother loved the tacos at Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
They're oh my God, a princess.
I love Mindy Kaling going, what? You had Jack in the Box? Yeah. Until she met Harry, she was born and raised in Hollywood. She went to Jack in the Box. Right. Anyway,
the Jack in the Box meal I always loved.
What?
Was because there was one in Santa Monica. I think it was the same one he went to before rehab. And I would go eat there before I would like call it a night.
Yeah.
And because I was always so starving after going out. I remember I'd go to these nightclubs and I'd look at the people actually eating the food and I'd be like, one day I'll be rich enough to actually eat the meals here.
Jack in the Box.
No, at like a nightclub.
Oh.
Because instead I'd go starving and then I tried to be healthy. So they had a Jack in the Box Asian meal. I don't know if they still have it. No. And it was rice and like teriyaki chicken and like 3 things of broccoli.
How did they get into that business?
I don't know.
Really?
When I ate it, I felt like I was being healthy and delicious. Okay, so he has 3 kids. This is his youngest son, who's adorable. And
is that Jennifer Garner's kid?
Yes.
Okay.
And he only has kids with Jennifer Garner. And then he said, he told a story on Access Hollywood that they were at some shoe thing.
Sneaker convention. Yeah.
And this 12-year-old kid of his said, I want these special edition Dior Air Jordans that were $6,000.
Yeah.
And he's like, and I told my kid, get ready you're going to have to mow a lot more lawns to get those shoes. And then he goes, and then my kid said, what, Dad? We're rich. And he goes, he goes, I'm rich. You're broke, which I've heard like 25 million comedians say that. And I just want to say, just shut up, Ben. Like, who the fuck are you kidding? Nobody's kid has a mowing lawn business.
Right.
Nobody has a paper route. No one's doing that anymore in 2025. Right. Whether you have $150 million or whether you have $100,000 total in assets. People aren't making their kids do that shit, okay? And stop acting like you're such a tough dad, because they left and they had a bunch of shoes from the thing. But I guess he didn't buy the 6,000 Dior one for his kid whose feet aren't going to fit in it in 3 months. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, again, stop trying to act authentic and like you're this hard-ass Boston dad. Listen, you're a rich guy. You have kids that are privileged. They're very, very lucky and entitled. but you as a parent is going to have to take special precautions so they're not asking you for $6,000 shoes.
Right.
The kid should have never asked you.
Yeah. And
Dior. My kids could ask me for shit. They don't ask me for anything.
Right.
And I don't know. It all started when I took a parenting class. And they said, when you go to Target or any toy store and they say, I want this.
Yeah.
Because before Drake was in utero, they said, just say, maybe for your birthday or Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And I did that.
I try. It doesn't work.
Have you really tried it? I don't know. I tried it from the very beginning.
Tried for about a minute.
I tried it from the very beginning and they were really good. But every family's different.
Yeah.
There's other things that, other kids do. Like I was telling Drake the other day, I go, God, the school, USC, is just so hard to get into, like whatever. You need like a 4.5, 4.7, whatever. And I was thinking about some of my friends whose kids are either getting in there or waiting to hear and actually have a chance.
Right.
And I go, sometimes it just baffles me that some of my friends that I've had since high school or beyond have such smart kids.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did that happen? You're not that smart. So how did your kids get so smart? Were you just riding them harder than I ever did?
I have like 4 friends who are about as dumb as you could possibly imagine. Yeah. Whose kids are now doctors. It's shocking
so what
to
is
me.
that? Like,
I don't know.
get it when you come from a family of doctors.
Yeah.
And that's expected. And you also have the brain thing.
Right. I don't know. I'm shocked.
Like,
I'm glad you brought that up.
I have girls that were like barely graduated from college, dancing on tables, drinking, whatever, and their kids are like Ivy League.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
I'm the same way. I'm fascinated by it. I'm glad you brought it up because I've been saying to my wife every time.
How do our dumb friends have such smart kids?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I have 2 of my friends who are as dumb as shit. Both of their kids are in Yale in like a pre-med program. Yeah. Like they were both valedictorians at their schools and I don't know how. Genetically, I got exactly what my parents, they gave me their dumb shit. I got it.
Me too.
I never rose higher.
And I feel like my kids have really good qualities from both Peter and I. But then you know what? I wonder if that was my fault. Because right from the start, I was like, these kids are not going to be doctors.
Yeah.
Like I said it. So I wonder if I pushed it, if I was that tiger mom and I pushed it from the start.
I think that's, I think everybody has that in the end, I mean, I sit there and put on Bluey for my daughter and I'm like, I could be teaching her Mandarin right now, which is what probably some parents are doing, but I don't have the time. I
remember putting some Legos in front of Brandon, and he couldn't do it. And I remember thinking, I don't know that I'll ever see the day when he can put this Lego together. And he did.
He did. Okay,
he did. Good. I don't know. I sometimes sometimes it's a gift to have low expectations.
Yeah. I feel like everybody finds their way. I know. I agree. Like my parents had no expectations for they're still just like, wow, how did you do anything? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I took away from the one thing I took away, my dad always said, have packable wares. Packable wear.
What does that mean?
It means when you're packing a bag, make sure instead of a thick jacket like this, make sure it's packable. Do you have packable wear, Christopher? This is all my father ever taught us. Packable wares and everything's a scam. And I got to tell you, teaching us that everything was a scam
is good.
To this day, me and all my family,
I think that was a good Franjola
we approach
lesson.
everything that everything's a scam.
No harm in that.
No harm in that, yeah.
And my dad taught me, some little bitches think they shit ice cream.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't fuck with them.
I know. I mean, just different times, I guess. Different times.
My dad would also say, oh, don't get your tit in a ringer. Do you know what that means?
Yes, I've heard it. I don't really know. Yeah.
It's so old.
Yeah.
I guess women washing clothes would have that like round thing.
Yeah.
And if their tits were hanging, it would accidentally get caught in one.
In the ring.
And I remember one time my mom goes, did your mom really have to wash clothes in a ringer and did her tit ever get caught?
Probably did.
Anyway,
I watched the video.
Ben Affleck.
I watched it was a cute video of them at the.
I know, but also don't throw your kid under the bus and make him look like a little entitled shit. Who even knows if the story is true?
And also, Dior's going to send you the shoes.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, they're going to send the shoes to the kid now. You ever going to color me mine?
Oh, I love Color Me
Might
Mine.
as
I've
well.
seen your work.
Yeah, thank you.
I've seen your work.
It's really good.
Mackenzie, my daughter, was very into it. And it's a very good activity to do with a child. But
heaven.
after a while, you have about 20 things.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive after a while.
God. You might as well buy a kid Dior shoes because.
And I was always just like, we need to spend an hour and a half here. Why is your work done in 12 minutes?
I went last week. My daughter painted 3 fucking things because she finishes it in a minute. Just slap some paint on it. I'm like, no, you got to work hard. You got to do better than that, because I can't afford 5 of these fucking things. So,
and then you have to wait and pick them up.
$270 later, we were like, I should have just bought her Dior sneakers. Yeah, so I'm not good.
I think that you can go. I think the dollar store is gone now, right?
It's gone. You get Michael's Art Supply has
I feel like
ceramics.
Yeah, you could.
But then you don't
get it. It's fun.
You don't put it in the kiln or whatever it's called.
And it doesn't get glossy.
Brightens up the
I want to talk to you guys about Rula because Rula is therapy. And what I love about it is we all sometimes need therapy. Sometimes it's a real specific thing going on in your life, a career change, a major breakup. And talking to the friends is just not enough. And what I love about Rula is that they work with over 10,000 therapists to find the right one for you. And in-network covered care for most major insurances, meaning you can pay as little as $15 per session. True end-to-end care. Rula is committed to supporting you and staying with you every step of the way on your mental health journey, from finding the right therapist to helping you schedule appointments and monitoring your process. Rula is there to help. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey towards improved mental health and overall well-being. Head on over to rula.com/juicyscoop to get started today. After you sign up, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support Juicy Scoop and tell them I sent you. Go to rula.com/juicyscoop and take the first step towards better health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares. Okay, this is a crazy story. It's one of my favorite types of stories when a woman hires a person to kill her husband that she's thinking of divorcing and he has no clue.
Right.
So this guy, Aaron Goodwin, he has a show called Ghost Hunters.
Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
And his wife, who he married in 22, has just been arrested. She's on $100,000 bail, but she's behind bars. And she was talking to someone in prison to hire someone. So he was going to get somebody to go kill this guy. And she was corresponding with him. And they found his confiscated phone. They always have these phones, these guys.
Yeah.
So he was able to text message the hitman and everything. And she said, I'll pay $11,515, kind of a weird amount. She'd already given a $2,500 deposit to the hitman.
Right.
And of course, they caught on to it before, and he had no clue. And she had provided him, the hitman and the guy in jail that was hiring the hitman, the middleman, she had provided him with his schedule, what hotels he'd be at, all this stuff, filming schedule.
Yeah. And,
of course, her defense was, I was just fantasizing about it. I was just talking. Oh, you're just talking to someone in prison?
Right.
And they weren't even separated.
Yeah.
And total shock, totally blindsided. He completely thought everything was fine. And the fact that he works on a show about ghosts when when she wanted him to be a main character soon and be a ghost.
She was probably like, go kill him now.
Yeah.
Be careful. He's surrounded by ghosts. Everywhere he goes.
I love a hired hitman.
How do you even find a hit? Where do you go? I guess you talk to somebody in prison and they have people on the outside.
I always feel though it always seems like in all the cases that I've kind of covered and been enthralled with, they're always hard to convict because you're always, if the person lived,
right?
Because they're always like, oh, I was just joking, or I was just talking to somebody. I didn't really mean it. But when there's money exchanged.
Yes. Had they exchanged money yet?
Yeah, the $2,500 deposit.
Oh, wow. So that's beyond fantasy at that point. She's just joking.
I mean, that's why she's $100,000 bail.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's going to bail her out.
Yeah.
And just what? Ugh. It's just so awful when you think about it. You're like,
yeah.
I mean, really? You're not thinking about this guy's mother or his brother or the production crew of Ghost Adventure?
Yeah, I feel like it's easily traceable too. Like whatever the hitman would do, shoot him or something, or
and you're gonna believe someone in prison to like keep your secret. But anyway, that was kind of juicy. Speaking of prison, Lori Vallow, world's worst mother.
Yeah,
she was on Dateline this weekend, and this one particular clip got sent to me a lot because Keith was like, Lori, she's talking about God. She was the one whose 2 kids were found dead, buried in her boyfriend's backyard. He is sentenced to death.
Right.
And whatever, appealing it. She got convicted of the crime of her kids, conspiracy or whatever.
Right.
She is now going back to trial because for the fact that her brother shot and killed her ex-husband.
Oh, yes. I remember that one.
And she's defending herself.
Oh, good.
And then after that, she has to go to trial for if she had her brother killed.
Yeah.
And she looks like shit, because, she used to be kind of pretty. She was Mrs. Utah or something, or ran in that. And she's like...
She comes off completely insane.
She's completely insane. And she's one of those people that constantly uses Keith's name. Like, oh, really, Keith? That's not true, Keith. And he goes, well, do you think that is Jesus, in court with you or something? She goes, yeah, he's everywhere. I'm his favorite. But, and so she goes, I'm joking. Of course, I'm not his favorite, but I am. So everyone said that to me because of my famous joke before I fainted, which was, clearly Jesus loves me the most. So now I'm up there with Lori Vallow with my fucking comments.
Your kids are still alive, though. Yeah, so you got that going for you.
It is. Yes.
You're better than her. You're better than her. She was
so strange. So of course she's like, it's a lot of work. But well, of course she wants to represent herself because she's like the biggest thirst bucket and so incredibly clueless. Not at all like sad that her kids are dead.
No, that's always a weird one. When
they're not even sad. They're not even like, every day I yearn to hold my child again. Nothing. Right. She's just like,
Well, she's obviously psychotic, so doesn't have the same thoughts that regular people have. I mean,
psychotic, but not mentally ill enough to get off.
Wasn't she like, for a long time, the kids were missing, and they were vacationing in Hawaii?
Oh yeah,
for a long, like years, right?
And just ignoring people. No, it wasn't years. It was like months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was the strangest story. Here's
I forgot all about these two.
Blake and so this one is going around. This is from Tim Biddisey, or Clout Chat Media. I'm not sure who's all doing this, but this video I've seen go around.
Yes,
and
I've watched it as well.
It's other footage of like paparazzi filming them film their movie. It ends with us, and she's wearing the double camouflage outfit. I think it was when they were it was after their first date or something. And they're kissing, and you can see that and the kiss is good. I thought they had great chemistry in this stupid movie. I really thought they had good chemistry, which I think Ryan Reynolds did too, which pissed him off. But she bites the bottom of Justin's lip. So people are saying, look, she's the aggressor. She's doing things that were not choreographed with the intimacy coordinator.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard in the video to see that she's doing that. And so what if she does? Because that's like a sexy thing to do.
Right.
But still, it doesn't go along with what she claimed happened on set. So I've shared my opinion. What do you think is going to happen? Where are you now with all of this? Your opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't know how. I feel like it's just time but at this point, I feel both of them need to just say, let's agree to go our separate ways, drop the lawsuits, and move on with our careers. People will forget quickly. With him, especially, because I don't think people really know him as well as they know her. So he could go back to directing and be fine.
But he got fired from the Pac-Man job.
I heard, but that was early on when this story now has taken a bunch of different turns.
Right, but think how bitter you would be if someone accused you of something you didn't do.
Right.
Your job is just launching as a director, your career.
Right.
And you get fired from it and your agent drops you. And now you're in this where all these content creators are pulling up stuff to help your case.
Yeah.
And your partner at Wayfair got a lot of money. So he's like, we're going the distance.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. She started it.
Yeah.
So he would have to agree to drop it, which I don't think is a terrible idea. Do we really want to go through this till March 26th?
No, you don't.
We'll see. We'll see. I think, someone has to make the move, either Blake or him, to say, is there some type of settlement for us just to go back and be artists and never fuck with each other again? But I think he would need her to say, in reflection, I was never, by the definition of sexual harassment, I was never sexually harassed by Justin Baldoni.
Right.
And therefore, I am dropping my initial case. And then he could say, I really appreciate that she said that. And in respect for everybody involved, I too am dropping my case. And then they give him they pay for all of his legal fees or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I think would have to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, in a way, Blake Lively saved us from having to watch a Pac-Man movie, so that's good. That's
let's
something.
Give her some
There's a little silver lining there.
Yeah, let's give her some respect.
Also, she's now out promoting another movie with Anna Kendrick. Yeah,
A Simple Favor 2.
Yeah,
yes.
And I don't know. It's because you're hearing so much about her and whether she's annoying or not annoying. That's up to you to decide.
Yeah.
But some of these press conferences, I'm like, it's just she comes off just so a lot.
She, like I said this on the other show. Hilaria,
yeah,
and Blake, Hilaria, and Meghan Markle need to go have a boring off.
Yeah.
Go have a boring off and see who is voted most boring.
Yeah.
Because they all just.
It's even, I don't know if boring is even the right word. It's just kind of, I wouldn't put for her, definitely.
Okay.
She's in some sort of weird, just like
you think she's funnier than she is.
And all that.
Yeah.
I know. I can't really, I don't have a word for it,
Yeah.
but just outside of annoying, but it's not, she's not annoying, but annoying. You know what I mean? I can't really, but it's a lot. Like Anna Kendrick is just like, you see, just like, oh my God, is she ever going to stop?
There was some weird connection to that I recently saw that I can't remember about. When Ben Affleck was doing The Town, she was in The Town. There was rumors that they had an affair. He was married to Jennifer Garner at the time. Jennifer Garner had some other connection to like Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds was married to Scarlett Johansson, who's now married to Colin Jost. And now Justin Baldoni is now executive producer of Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut. It is just like
really? Yeah.
Everybody kind of being getting each other back. It's just a total web.
Wow.
Amazing.
Good luck to everybody.
These two annoyings.
Oh.
Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. So Will Smith was on stage doing some singing thing with some hot Latina a few weeks ago, and they ended up in a sexy kiss.
What is everybody kissing everybody up in here? Wow, really?
This is a small article and no one cares. But it was National Napping Day, and Jada posted a photo of him napping and all the kids around being like, ooh, look at our dad. And I was just like, I completely forgot about their whole annoying fake open marriage.
I really did too.
And or back in the day when everyone was just like couple goals and they'd wear matching outfits, but and their height difference and my bonus son and the red table talk and
remember that?
And the
remember
grandma's wisdom
Grandma Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, and Willow's wisdom, who didn't get past the 4th grade, and what the fuck happened?
I know.
No one cares.
Talk.
I remember. I
the book came out. She had a
book.
Yeah.
I read some of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And she was such a bitch because he planned her a birthday party, and then she turned it around and said the birthday party was for you. And I'm like, again, no one has ever planned me a birthday party. And if someone did, I don't care if the food sucked and it was awful. I'd be like, I can't believe he planned me a surprise birthday party.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a surprise. He was planning it with her knowledge. And then she put him in the hot seat and was like, say it, say it. And he goes, it was my narcissism that made me plan the party, Jada. It was, I wanted people to think I was a good husband. That's right. That's right. And I was like, you are a fucking monster.
Yeah, that was such a weird time. But was that a COVID thing too? I feel like
I just feel like they're never coming back. Now, I thought he would come back.
Yeah.
And I just feel like people are like, there's other people that can do that job. There's other people who can kill an alien, be an astronaut.
And movie stars are kind of a thing of the past. There really is no movie star. Like he was a
Nobody's
movie star.
running. Yeah, no one's running because so-and-so is in a movie.
Yeah, we got to go see the Schwarzenegger movie. Those days are kind of over.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a very interesting one. I forgot all about them up until you need somebody on this. Like, remember the Grandma Pinkett Smith? She would just sit at the red table talking and just go, "Oh, child." I think you need.
That's right.
Yeah. You need somebody like that.
When she shamed him for planning the party, which I will just never get over, the daughter was agreeing with the mom.
Yeah.
And so was the mother-in-law. And I was just like, none of you would have any of this if it wasn't for Will Smith. And he has to sit at this fucking Facebook show on the red table and be torn to pieces because he threw you a $50,000 birthday party that you decided was too much. Like the jealousy between them of both being stars was so gross.
And they're still together, right?
Yeah.
Kind of.
And then he had to sit across from her while she explained why she fucked his son's best friend.
What was his name? Got to try that up my tongue.
The friend that, it was an entanglement.
Entanglement with.
It was an entanglement. And she said, and then I had an entanglement. He's like, yeah, you did, Jada.
Entanglement.
And she's like, no, she was helping him.
But the kids are still out there like on red carpets and stuff.
You know how like sometimes back in the day, and I feel like this doesn't happen that much. August.
Entanglement with August. That's what it was.
I hope it happened during August.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things where like the kid wasn't getting along with his parents or something. So he was like living at the Pinkett mansion or whatever, the Will Smith mansion. And, he was like 24. He wasn't like 17. But still, like, all I can think about is like the mom, the real mom, Sheree or whatever, of the Trey stepson. Like she must have been like on the phone with her friends going, girl, did you hear what the fuck is happening with my ex and Jada? Jada fucked my son's friend. And it's all over the news that this perfect couple, because like, I mean, that is annoying if you're like wife number one.
Right.
And forever they're on the red carpet, always wearing matching yellow outfits and all this, and on Oprah where she's just kissing their asses as the America's greatest couple and she's the greatest stepmother and blah, 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 blah. Ugh.
Yeah.
They always irritated me. Not so much him, but her.
Yeah.
And, the other thing someone said, when are we going to start bringing up all the inauthentic Hollywood men? Why are women so obsessed with attacking the Megans and the Hilarias and the J-Los and all this?
Right, I agree.
And
Let's
even
get
Jennifer
'em.
Garner, who would call the paparazzi to go to the Coldwater Park when she had a place sit in her backyard, whatever. I don't know. Aren't they all like, I don't know. That's why. No, but I think it's what I said before. I think women just are overly critical of other women and men don't care.
Yeah.
What are men, like men will be like, he's a douche. He's a dick. And that's about it. They don't really expound on it. And you're like, why is he a douche or a dick? And they're like, I don't know. I just had a feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I feel all the people we mentioned
Do you feel like you have good... Are you one of those guys?
Douche your dick radar?
Yes, because I feel like my brother-in-law, Shannon's husband.
Yeah.
There's been times where then years later, the guy turns out to be a dick or the couple gets divorced. And my sister will say, Michael never liked him. And I go, he did it? We had dinners, we had this. She goes, no, right from the start. He was like, meh. And I'm like, what is that? There's like a gift I think certain guys have.
I like to think that I have it as well.
I think you have it.
However, what I do is I just assume everyone's a douche or dick, and then until you prove me otherwise.
Oh.
So that kind of works too, because 90% of the time you're right, especially in the worlds I travel.
Yeah.
you know, but I don't really see anybody anymore. You know, I really don't. Like, I was thinking, so, you know, you see you from time to time. Yes. That's about it.
Okay. About this naked woman. Now, you travel a lot on the planes. A naked woman was removed from the Southwest plane in Houston, in which you're going to Houston on Sunday. So tell me, what is the story behind this and what is your theory?
Well, I heard that she got up, you know, I think before the plane took off and took off all her clothes. And
like in the aisle
in the
or
aisle,
like in the bathroom?
Went up to the front. Yeah.
And was it attractive body or not attractive body?
I mean, you know, decent boobs as far as I could see. I don't think you know. But
all right, I'm just wondering. Kooky. Like, was she 80 or was she like?
No, she wasn't 80. Okay. But she was. All right. Yeah, she wasn't 22 either.
Got it.
Yeah, but anyway, it was just crazy, and I feel like there's so much more of this on planes. I don't know if it's people just filming it more.
Yes.
I have a theory. I shouldn't say. Someone actually mentioned it to me, and it does make sense. What is happening, I believe, is edibles.
Good point.
Here's what's happening. That's why people are losing their minds on planes more often.
Yes.
They're taking the edible before they get on the flight because they're nervous or whatever the case may be. They're fine getting on the plane. Because a lot of people go, how'd you let that person on the plane if they were that crazy?
Right,
they weren't that crazy
they don't let
yet.
a drunk on.
I don't know anything about edibles. I don't really do that kind of thing. So I'm just, but this someone mentioned it to me and I'm like, that's a pretty interesting theory.
Sense. Yeah.
So they get on and then the edible kicks in. And maybe they're new to it or they took too much or they don't know and their reaction is taking my top off or freaking the fuck out. So, and I'm like, yeah, that does make sense. You know, now you're half hour into the flight and you're freaking out. So maybe it's that because they're not drunk. Right. It seems more than drunk. So what could it be? I don't know. Everybody's now doing, what do they call it? Microdosing
of the mushrooms and the edibles and all that kind of stuff.
And some people have different reactions to shit. So, you know, some people can chill out and do a podcast and some people take their top off on a Southwest flight.
Wow.
To Houston.
Well, here's another one. This girl, she went viral. She was in Brazil and because someone filmed her refusing to let a crying baby have her window seat.
Yeah.
I always choose the window seat. I like the window seat.
I used to.
I like to be tucked away.
Yeah.
Even though I feel guilty and I have to get up and go to the bathroom, I prefer it to the aisle. I don't know why I like it. You don't like the window now?
Not anymore. I used to love it. And now I feel very I'm claustrophobic, a little closed in sometimes where I'm like, now I got to go aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
can't
do it.
Have you ever been asked to change seats?
I have a few times, but like for, you know, husband sitting next to the wife, whatever. If it's the same seat, I have no problem with it. If it's like not too far back or whatever, and still an aisle. But if like somebody says, can you do a middle seat for your aisle?
But have you ever been asked and turned down and said no? No.
I've only been asked, I think, twice. And it was for a husband and wife, and I accommodated both times.
Yeah.
And we've asked once with my wife and my daughter were in a seat, and I was in another seat. And the guy was like, yes. And I'm like, great. I thought I was going to have a peaceful flight.
I always remember that. Remember when James Corden got a lot of shit? Like it turned out that he was like a dick or whatever. There was a story that went around that someone said, I was on a plane with James Corden and there was a woman struggling with a small child and it was first class or whatever. And he was just such a dick, like rolling his eyes and everything. And at the end of the flight, I realized it was his wife and child.
Oh, that's funny. He was again,
And he was not helpful and acting like he didn't know them. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Now, I don't know if that's true. That was just a story I read. So Giselle had her baby and is on a yacht with the karate instructor.
Good.
Or jiu-jitsu or whatever it is.
Living her life.
And stomach bikini again.
Yeah.
And
look at that. She's back. Well, she's a supermodel.
There you go. Now she's the star of the show.
Yeah.
And good for her.
Yeah. Is that his name?
Do you think Tom Brady has any regrets?
Tom Brady's doing fine. He's doing fine.
All right.
I don't know. You don't hear about him with any women. There was different. Ivanka Shank was rumored for a minute. But I haven't heard anything lately. He's out there working, you know?
I feel like Emirata is probably going to have to walk next to him and just get like a page 6 article.
Yeah?
She's died down.
She's died down a little bit. Yeah. But she's still out there. Still Vanity Fair party.
Still dating people.
Boobs out.
Her and Julia Fox.
Julia Fox.
I'm always like, what are the two of them doing besides just showing up and getting photographs? Good for them. We're still talking about them.
Somebody's.
You got to wear cellophane to a party, but
with like roots underneath it. She had like, at the Vanity Fair party, she had like ivy.
No, she had a long wig covering
is that what it was?
The clitoris, yes.
I thought it was roots.
No, it was like her hair going like an Adam and Eve kind of a look. Yeah.
I thought it was tree roots.
Do you imagine just like you being invited to a party and then being like, okay, hi, Juan, can you come over and bring your cellophane, your old wigs, and I have to go wear this weird outfit. Otherwise, there's no point in me going to this party.
Yeah, and that was all. I have
nothing else going on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get invited to anything else.
No, I didn't go to anything.
No, nothing.
No
What
jealousy
do you think of the Oscars?
At all.
No, not anymore. Parties,
late
night.
I remember and I think maybe you did it with me once or twice. E had an after party. So we would watch the Oscars and then sit and then rip on it.
Just talked about it with Brad. On Oscar night, Brad and I were texting back for Brad Wallach, for those of you who don't know. We were texting back and forth about it because I had forgotten all about it.
I did it twice, I think.
We did it together. It was me, you, Sarah Colonna, Brad Wallach. And remember, Brad had taken some pill or something because he had a bad back.
Brad was like one of these people on a plane.
Yeah, exactly. And it hit right when they were like, and action, we're live.
And I remember one of them was the worst Oscars ever. It was the Anne Hathaway and
James Franco
night where he like came out as Marilyn Monroe. It was just torturous.
And we couldn't get any celebrities because they're all like going to the parties who were just like yelling at people from afar.
No. Then we sat down after and like ripped on it.
Yeah.
And
I remember Jason Kennedy sat down with us for a minute. Nice guy, sweetheart of a guy. It was actually like a real E host. And he was just like, because we had been drinking for quite some time. And he was like, what is going on here?
Wait, I have something amazing to tell you. So I remember during that time, I had like a pretty decent management team that acted all excited like I was going to be the next Ellen, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm like on. Oh, someone else has said, I'm so sick of hearing about Chelsea lately. Well, sorry, it was 8 years of my adult working life. I also talk about USC, my childhood, and my parents. So sorry.
The only reason
it's stories, and I'm with Chris, and they're stories.
I don't know if you're anything like me, but the only people say the same thing to me. They're like enough with the Chelsea Lately, and the only reason I get it, but the only reason is because it's the last time I was like around people. You know what I mean? Like I haven't had a real job. Same thing. We haven't. Right. Well, we do this, but this is like a very solitary lifestyle.
Yeah.
There were 200 people on that show. We were constantly with them, so.
Having
I don't know.
lunch.
It's my last memory of social interaction.
So anyway, this manager, we do one of those things or whatever. And then they go, and there was also like a pre-one that I did with like Lonnie Love. Like I had to be there at like 12 o'clock. And it was Oscars, Emmys, whatever that shit was. He was the only place doing red carpets.
Yeah.
And so they were like, they're offering you a contract for the next, 4 years of these things to do this. And, the money was never good. It was like, $600. And, but they want to like nail you for it. And I was like, okay, great. And then my manager was like, no, I mean, you could be doing this with Mario Lopez one day. If you sign this, then we can't, pitch you to like Access Hollywood and all this stuff. So I remember I went to a party. I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. Like, this is an embarrassment, but this is why when people get management and stuff, they have to just also be like, hold on, is this like who even, I don't remember my manager's name. Like nowhere to be seen.
Me neither.
And it doesn't matter because none of this would have it wouldn't have lasted past Chelsea Lately anyway, because we were all banned from E after that, but whatever. And the guy's like, wait, why aren't you signing the contract? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, like, what if I think I need more money because, like, what if, like, Mario wants to.
Mario Lopez comes calling.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, Kelly Osbourne signed it, and I go, I think I was a couple drinks in, and I go, I'm not Kelly Osbourne. I'm Heather fucking McDonald.
Oh. Well, look at you now.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't never been asked back to eat.
Yeah.
Well, they asked me back one time, and then they realized I had been banned, and then they said you can't come for your 2 other days.
Oh, I remember.
Nightly pop or
and you had
whatever.
Yeah, but look what all this shit's
Oh, it doesn't matter. It all
gone.
doesn't matter. But I was like,
and you're down to your sorority talking to young kids about
and I did.
Korea.
And when I did my little speech, I said, you know what? I watched the SNL 50, and I told my story of how I was, supposed to audition, and my pilot got picked up for MTV, and then I was supposed to go back, and at that point I had little kids, and I didn't. And I go, and I watched that parts of it, and there wasn't 1 ounce of me that's like, wow, what would my life have been like had I done that at 28 years old or whatever. And so yeah, it all works out. You just don't know. Yeah. And then you have a funny story to tell where I was a cocky asshole that was, but it was because this manager that then of course was, a couple years later, I don't even remember their name, and I never heard from them again.
Yeah, I've had a couple. Oh, well, I mean, what a nightmare. Just the things you go through. And now the business has changed so much that you've landed on your feet on your own. Imagine if you were on the Daily Pop still. I mean, where are those people now?
Wow. Well, that's exciting, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, after being so sugar-coated.
Oh, I couldn't believe what she wore. Shut up.
I liked the color.
Yeah.
This is it's more of a mustard.
Yes.
It's more of a Grey Poupon. Oh, shut up, you silly goose.
So,
anyway, Chris,
worst.
Love you.
Thank
cover
you.
to cover.
Cover to cover is a podcast I do. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it.
They do.
America loves it.
Tell everybody where they can see you live.
You can see me in Detroit this weekend. Detroit, a House of Comedy in Detroit, Friday and Saturday. And then, of course, Houston on Sunday night. The Punchline in Houston. Franjola.fun is everything. I'll be at the Ontario Improv right here in Los Angeles.
Lovely.
And March 20th, Ontario Improv. So many more. I got Nashville Zanies coming up in May. I have Tampa Side Splitters, Dania Beach Improv. So much more. Roseville Theater in Minneapolis, and on and on and on. Everything's on franjola.fun.
And it is fun.
It is. It's fun.
And then also, if you want to get a light fixed in your neighborhood, you can also DM Chris.
You had to see the thing. I mean, I'm going to be a politician in my neighborhood. Could you imagine the things I'm going to have to go through to?
I often sometimes think about running for office.
Yeah? You don't. You don't need this trouble.
No.
That's what I've heard. People get into it and then they'll realize they can't,
I realized it when I was doing the school stuff, and I would be having all these ideas of how to make things better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're not doing it, so shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're going to go in there and get your hands dirty, we don't want to hear why you think marshmallow ghosts should be replaced with snowmen.
Right.
We don't care, Heather, And I was just like, oh, what would be a better snack, as if I know how to make the snack.
Right. Anyway.
No wonder they hated me.
I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm getting things fixed, getting problem solved in my neighborhood.
Such a delight as always.
Thank you.
Everybody go to heathermcdonald.net. Join my Patreon. I'm going to start adding some insider video stuff that you can't get anywhere but there. So thank you.